Hey there, Clashers, and welcome back. Today I'm finally doing a guide on how to use DragBat. So this is going to be my guide for DragBat, and obviously this is going to be Town Hall 14, although a lot of these principles will apply to lower Town Hall levels if that's something that you're looking for. So we are going to take a look at a couple of our attacks out of this recent Clan War League, and I'm going to break them down as best I can. And I'm going to try and make sure I get all of the knowledge that I have about DragBat into this video. Try not to miss anything. I've been using DragBat myself pretty much since the beginning of the year, maybe a little bit last year as well. And I've picked up a lot of good tips over the last couple of months, and I'm going to try and share this with you guys here today. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so this will be the first base that we are taking a look at here, and I'm going to go over a few of the basic tips before we jump into the plan for this base, and then once we go over the plan for this base, we'll go ahead and watch the replay and see how it plays out. So first of all, when you're building your army initially, I always recommend taking at least 10 dragons, less than that, and I've seen quite a big drop on success. And if you can squeeze 11 dragons in, awesome. If you're finding yourself with 12 dragons, you probably forgot some other troops. So go back, double check your plan. If you still got 12 dragons, cool, but just make sure you're not forgetting something else in the army. As far as spells go, when you're running DragBat, obviously, you're going to have the bat spells. With these, I recommend around 6, maybe 7 if you can fit them in. And then you're going to want at least 3 free spells usually, and it all really just comes down to what you're going to have to deal with on the base. Kind of same thing with the troops. You're going to have that certain number of dragons. You don't need a lot of balloons. You'll see in this attack I only bring a couple of balloons with my dragons, and then the rest of the troops are basically whatever you need for that specific base. Same thing with the spells. You're going to need at least 6 bat spells, and then everything else is going to depend on what you need for that base. Now you have to take into account all the splash damage. You also have to take into account the funneling for the dragons and the Town Hall. How are you going to take the Town Hall down? Now 9 times out of 10 you're taking a blimp, and there are actually a lot of ways to go about this. If you can avoid pulling the CC, you should do that, but your heroes can sometimes pull the CC in the plan, and that's alright, just deal with whatever comes out. Or sometimes you're going to take a blimp that pulls the CC. For example, a lot of people like running Yeti, the Yeti blimps, and that's a perfectly good choice. For me, I only run ground troops in my blimp if my heroes are going to pull the CC anyway, or if I know it's not a Hound, Ice Golems, or Ice Hound, those kinds of CCs in there. So usually you're going to see me running air troops in the blimp. In this case, I pulled the CC, I ran air troops anyway just because that's kind of what I'm used to. I could have run a Yeti bomb in this composition and been just fine, because you can see we got the eagle over here. That's where the king's going to go in. So with that, we'll go over some more tips in the next attacks as we kind of look at things. But let's go ahead and take a look at the plan for this base specifically. So let me bring up the pin here. Let me get rid of that off the screen. So looking at this base, the first thing that I see right away is this eagle compartment. Now I like going after the eagle compartments that look like this. We're going to go ahead and change the color here to black for the pin. So what we have is an open compartment with the eagle that's not super deep. So what I need to do is, well, what I want to do is get the king in there, and what I need to do is actually funnel him in. I can see that there's an air defense here, so the baby dragon funnel not really going to work. So I'm going to take a Yeti, and he's going to take this elixir pump down. He'll take down the cannon, and then the king has pretty much got his pathing for the eagle area. And then over here you can use a sneaky goblin or something small to just take down the gold mine. Maybe a baby dragon over in that area if you can't bring a sneaky, or I think even a wizard. Well, probably not a wizard unless you drop it after that cannon locks onto the king. But in any case, you just need to take down one building over here, and then the Yeti over here is going to set up the funnel so the king goes in. I did bring a headhunter as well to help take down the enemy king. So the king's going to go in this way, and he's going to clear out this whole compartment. So let's actually get rid of that and back out a bit so that we can draw a little bit more over here. So, okay, so the king goes in, takes out this whole area, and you can kind of see, not only does that take the eagle down, but it's starting to set up some pathing to the town hall over here. Now, it's not super ideal to have this dead space here, because I am going to be flying the dragons in from about the 1 o'clock area. But it's going to work out because once the dragons get through this, they should join up here in this area. So the queen, she's actually going to go in here, and I want her to walk down along this side and eventually she can take out this wizard tower. She's not taking a whole lot of damage, so she should have no trouble getting down that whole side. And then, of course, the dragons can fly straight in like this. And then once they get in a little bit, Blimp comes in behind straight for the town hall, and we get that taken down. So once we get all that taken out, you can see we've only got one wizard tower over here. This one is supposed to be taken down by the queen, so we can fly the bats in over here from this side, once the town hall's down, of course. So the bats will come through. I can send the RC in from 6 o'clock. Once she gets up here, let's click on that scatter shot there. She should be tanking the scatter shot when the bats come across, and the timing for that is important. But that takes care of the scatter shot, so we got 2 wizard towers accounted for, we got the scatter shot accounted for, and then we got the wizard tower over here. We got free spells, so it is all accounted for, and that is basically the plan for this attack. Now, before we watch this replay, another thing you want to keep in mind is things may not go exactly the way that you planned them, and this is where practice and repetition comes in, because you might have to change things up on the fly, and we'll kind of see how I have to change things in this hit here. Alright, so we're going to be seeing the Yeti coming in over here, and then the king, everything's going to go in as I initially planned it. So there we go, Yeti is in. Sneaky Goblin on the gold mine, and then as soon as that cannon goes down, the king's going to have nowhere to go but in. I forgot to mention earlier, I did have an ice golem just because there's a lot of damage in this eagle compartment. So the ice golem is going to kind of help make sure the king goes in with enough health to get that compartment taken down. So the ice golem's headed in. There's that headhunter I mentioned, helping to take care of the enemy king. Now the king can go up, take down the spell factory, and then head into that compartment. And with his ability, he will easily be able to clear it all. He's still pretty healthy at this point as well. So there he goes, working his way in. I'm going to be sending the queen in now. Another thing is you got to kind of keep track of how much time's on the clock. So the king popped his ability. There's the lure of the CC I kind of expected. Unfortunately, it's a hound, but we are going to be able to deal with that. Another thing is when you are knowing you're going to pull a hound, you can drop an archer or something to try and pull the hound away, but in this case I just kind of let it go to my queen anyway, and then the dragons will intercept it once the king dies and the hound starts flying that way. But the queen is in, and I did actually put her in a little bit early because she is going to go into that multi-compartment instead of going down like I wanted her to get this wizard tower over here. But anyway, popped her ability, she'll take down the multi, dragons are going to go in, a couple of them break off from the main pack to chase that hound around, but a bunch of them are going straight down where I wanted them to through the scatter shot. Enemy queen's going to pull some in here. I'm going to have to use the ability. So there it is. Rage spell. That's going to help them take down the enemy queen. And I do drop another rage spell over here by the town hall. I didn't have to drop the rage there, but the dragons were headed there anyway. So I went ahead and did it. That kept some of them balloons alive out of the blimp. And now we've got that wizard tower still up. Queen didn't get it. Queen is down, and the dragons are moving through the core of the base. So at this point, I'm kind of adapting the plan. And what I'm going to do is you'll see me dropping the bats in a little bit higher than I initially planned, and then I'm just going to freeze that first wizard tower that they're coming up to. And then I've got the ice golem for this wizard tower down here, but I accidentally dropped it in just a little bit too late. See, the bats attracted the attention of that wizard tower before the ice golem did. So that was another critical mistake here in this attack. But the bats stayed alive thanks to that the freeze spell. RC's working her way in, and she didn't distract, so there's another timing issue. So these are things that you really have to get down. That's 2 big mistakes on the bat spells, or with the bats. So the bats really got thinned out there, but luckily I still had enough power to get through this base. So you can kind of see how things don't really go as well as you hope they do. And in that case, it was more execution than bad luck that really could have been better. But there's a triple. Let's take a look at some better hits and go over some more tips. So we're going to look at a few more points about the blimp that you're most likely going to be using with the DragBat. Then we're going to look at the plan for this base and the execution, and another tool that Credit here uses, which you should certainly consider when planning a DragBat attack. But one thing that I see a lot of people take in their blimps is a dragon with balloons, and obviously you have to rage it because otherwise it's not going to be able to take down the town hall, but you really never get any value out of the dragon in the blimp. It gets taken down by the town hall, slowed down by the poison or freeze or whatever, and it just doesn't do any damage. So it's usually better to take an Inferno Dragon or a regular baby dragon and then just the rest balloons. You can even do just only balloons in the blimp. And then if you do the balloon heavy blimps, you can actually take the town hall down with just a freeze spell. But you have to make sure that the balloons aren't going to be taking a lot of damage from other sources like a scatter shot. and you have to, they are going to be in range of like a scatter shot or a wizard tower, you have to also be able to freeze those with the town hall. You don't want to spend too many spells, otherwise you might as well just have raged it. But the other thing is to consider the tornado can also ruin that blimp, so it is quite a bit more risky. But you can rage it up and get it down guaranteed, or you can freeze it up. That usually gets it down as well. We're going to look at some examples, or at least one example here I know for sure uses balloons in the blimp and just a freeze and is able to take down the town hall. But the other thing is, if you are going to rage it and you're going to use a balloon heavy blimp, the balloons sometimes can actually get away from the town hall blast fast enough to have a little bit more value somewhere else. Plus, when they die, they actually have death damage. If you got that dragon in there, not only is it not doing damage while it's alive, but when it dies, it's not helping with any death damage either. So that's something else to consider. But with that, let's go ahead and take a look at the plan here. Like I mentioned, credits using the RC trick here. And let's zoom out a little bit so that I can draw on this without having to erase a bunch of times. But you can see he's got this single compartment here, and that's often somewhere that you're going to be using the RC trick. It's either a single or a multi. You can use the one zap, one quake, and use her ability to take it out. But the RC can come in. She's going to clear all these defenses here. And then I can't remember if she gets the wizard tower or not, but this is going to be the first part of the funneling. Use a couple of troops behind the RC, get this area basically cleared out. So that's going to be taken care of. From there, he's going to send the king and queen in from this direction, like that, and they're going to head that way and help give this pathing here for the dragon. So he's going to fly in from that direction. You always want to consider where the sweepers are pointed to. It's something I haven't really talked about yet. So basically avoiding the sweepers is a must. You can't really do dragons into a sweeper. It tends to not work out too well. If you need to, if you get really good pathing from a certain direction but the sweeper's pointing there, you can always consider using 2 zaps to take out a sweeper. But of course, that's if you have enough spell space to make that affordable, basically. So in this case, if the sweeper was pointed this way towards the dragons, he can't really do the 2 zaps because he's already investing these 2 spells over here for the RC trick. And if he invests those 2 spells and then these 2 spells, now he's starting to run low on spells when he already needs 6 bat spells and at least 2 or 3 freezes. And then the rage for the town hall area. So you can see that you really have to be careful with what spells you're bringing. But in this case, he is going to be able to avoid both of the sweepers. He's got one pointing out that way, pointing out that way. So he's basically got a blind spot here for the sweepers. And if you can do that, then that's really the ideal situation for bringing your dragons in. And of course, the blimp's going to come right behind the dragons as well, hit that town hall. So these dragons are going into 2 scatters. They're going into the wizard tower down here. This wizard tower, if the RC doesn't take it out, is also going to go down to the dragons. And then, of course, scatter shots are going to go down. And then the inferno towers around the top side are all single. Well, this one's going to be taken out by the RC. It's not a factor at all. And then he's only got 2 wizard towers to deal with. That's all the splash. Another thing to keep in mind are air expos. Air expos do a lot of damage to dragons, and they also chew through bats very quickly. So you want to keep in mind expos when you're looking at a base for DragBat attacks. But in any case, he's going to have all this taken out, and then he can start his bats on the left, on the right. It doesn't really matter. When you do drop your bats, a little bit about bat deployment, and then we're going to actually take a look at this hit, is try to avoid sending your bats with the RC if you don't know where the tornado trap is at, because if you send bats with the RC and the RC triggers the tornado, bats are done. The other thing is, don't send your bats with other air troops if you can help it at all, because of course the dragons, balloons, any air troop that can pull a red air bomb can ruin your bats. So with that, let's go ahead and clear off all this drawing and watch this replay. So in this case, he did bring in Ice Golem to send with his RC. Unfortunately, you're going to see the Ice Golem does get hit with a Spring Trap, so not super helpful here. And he's got the Quake in. The Builder is healing up. The Builder Hut over here, it's healing up the Wizard Tower. Something else to keep in mind with the RC trick now is, what is that Builder up to, basically? If he's going to heal even a little bit onto that Inferno Tower, it may not go down to the RC shield. But in this case, it's too busy healing itself and the Wizard Tower and doesn't get to the Inferno, so he's able to get that cleared out. He's got the Baby Dragon down there to get some of these troops cleared up out of the way. Did get that Wizard Tower down with the RC as well. So now we got the King moving in, Queen's in behind, and they're going to head up towards 3 o'clock. So they're going to get the air defense taken down and get some pathing set for the dragons. So there we go. The king's gonna pop his ability there, take out the enemy king. Dragons are moving their way into this eagle and scatter shot. So there we go. He is catching this sweeper a little bit, but that's not a huge deal. They're going to eventually get their way out of the sweeper range. The main group of dragons, which just got hit with the warden ability, they were perfectly safe from the sweepers. Rage is down for the town hall. So we'll see that dragon come out of there, and it's just going to get slowed down by the poison. It maybe got one puff of fire out of there, but other than that, no value from there. So here we go. Everything's shaping up nicely. He does send the bats from the right side of the base. They are working their way through now. He's got 4 freeze spells. So he can freeze each of these wizard towers twice because that's the only thing he needs to freeze. And that is plenty. So the bats are moving through. Luckily, these dragons did not pull a red air bomb over there. So that worked out perfectly well. And the bats can't really be stopped at this point. He's got 2 more freezes. He actually needed to freeze that second wizard tower because it was onto a minion. And if he didn't freeze it, it was going to switch over to the bats. So good call there, getting that freeze down just in time. And now they can work through the single, and a nice hit here from Credit. Alright, so this next base here, we got Cuss coming in on this one. And you'll see what I was talking about earlier with the Blimp taking down the Town Hall without using a rage spell. But he's going to start off here with all 3 heroes being funneled in this direction. And they're essentially going to take everything down in this area. And he's got an E-Drag, which he's going to use up here. Although I think he could have done that funnel for cheaper, but it works out in this case. But in general, I think E-Drags are a poor choice for funneling. Usually you can get the same value for a lot less housing space, but he uses it and it worked. And once he's got that done, he's got the dragons basically heading straight into this compartment here. He's going to have a couple of them split off down this way as well to help finish up the funnel over there, and he's got a baby dragon that's going to come in over here to clear this out. Because he is going to have a few buildings left over. The RC is going to leave that gold storage, of course. But that's the idea there, and also he is going to be fighting the sweeper on this one, and he's not going to zap it out. So we're going to see how well the dragons can fight through the sweeper, get pushed back, and in this case, it's not really a big deal. He is able to rage through it, get the dragons into where they need to be, and then he is going to actually bat bomb from over here. So let's go ahead and jump right into this one. Alright, so here we go, and Cuss is going to be pushing those heroes in, like I mentioned, with the sneaky goblins here. So there we go, a couple of sneaky goblins down. King and Queen are going to be working their way in, and they're going to be counting on the Yak to open up the walls here. So there we go, King is in with the Lassie. The Queen's the one with the Yak here, and there we go. And working their way in, just a couple of hits here, and they'll get into that first layer wall. And then same thing with the second layer wall. So there we go. RC is in as well. King's going to take a lot of damage here, so he's going to have to pop his ability fairly quickly. The Yak's helping take down the RC. Now he's going to start beating through the next layer walls. There we go. Everything's working its way in. Scattershot's going to go down. RC has broke off to go to that 3 o'clock compartment, get those defenses taken out, and then the Queen's going to get a couple more things taken out before she goes down as well. So that sets up a decent funneling here for the dragons to come in. He does have super minions coming out of the CC. Not a good defensive CC anymore. That's another video for another day. But here we go with that E-Dragon. We'll see he gets just a couple of buildings down over there before the dragons start working their way in. So baby dragon in at 3 o'clock, finish up the funnel on the other side. And here we go. Decent spread on the dragons here. And everything's going to start working its way down through the base. And this is actually why this works with the dragons going into the sweeper, because the sweeper has 2 different areas that it can target. It's got the dragons down the middle, and then it's got the dragons down the left. So there's the warden ability with the blimp coming down, and you can see now the sweeper's actually switched to the left. That means the dragons coming down the middle, they can skip right past the sweeper's push. So there we go. There's that freeze on the town hall. Balloons come out of the blimp, take down the town hall. No problem. It's an even trade for the blimp to get the town hall down. And there we go. A couple of freezes on the wizard tower on the back end. And it's a bit of an odd deployment spot for the bats. Usually you want to bring him in as a wave from one side of the base instead of dropping him in like a bomb like that. But he wants to try and keep these bats away from the other air troops as long as possible, so that when the dragons trigger traps, they're not taking out the bats just like that. and that was the best way to do it. He got the defenses off the back end before losing all the bats. Now he doesn't have any defenses left up at all, and a great hit here from Cuss. Also, a little more I want to mention about bat deployment. So like I said, bat bomb is not usually something you want to do, just because the bats, it takes them a minute to basically gain momentum to spawn all the bats and get going. But the other thing is, once they do get going and they start taking out the defenses that you dropped them on, they tend to split up in different directions going for different defenses, and they lose their momentum again when they split up. But the bat bomb can be a useful tool, especially when the attack's not going as planned. And if you have something up like a scatter shot, you can actually drop the bats directly onto a scatter shot, and the scatter shot can't hit the bats that are above it. So if you need the bat bomb and your plan's not going well, then the scatter shot's usually a good place to bat bomb if that's something that's an option, because obviously if the scatter can't target it, bats can take it out and move on from there. But of course that also means that you don't want a setup like this. If you have two scatter shots like that and you try to bat bomb one of them, you're still going to have to freeze the other one, just because obviously the scatter shots can cover each other. But if you're in a situation where you have just one scatter shot up and you have to bat bomb the scatter and you're good to go. Of course, that's going to depend quite a bit on what the base is looking like, but it is something to keep in mind. So the plan on this base here, we're going to go over this fairly quickly. So in the last, not the last one, but the one before that, we've seen an RC trick with the Zap Quake. Now this is going to be something kind of similar to that, except instead of Zap Quake, we're going to have just a couple of invisibility spells. And this is something I've actually been using quite a bit here lately. But the RC, she's going to come in to this Archer Tower and then work her way in. I'm going to pop her ability on this cannon to take out this bomb tower, because if that bomb tower goes down, the RC can head into this Eagle compartment. And from there, if I keep the RC invisible for the duration of 2 invisibility spells, she can take out all of these defenses. And that's going to set up the first set of pathing for my dragons. And then I've got a baby dragon to go in here and clear out these trash buildings. I need to move that to the side so that I can actually draw right there. There we go. So that takes out that whole section of the base. From there, we got the king and queen coming in from the top side to go down like that. Clear out these trash buildings, these storages, all that. And then dragons are working their way in right there. So that's the plan for this base. And then of course we're going to blimp. They actually didn't bother to fill the CC in this clan. At least some of them went empty. This one just happened to be one of those empty clan castles. So I took advantage of that, and I'm going to use the Yeti Bomb, which I don't use a lot, but obviously if I'm not going to pull a Lava Hound, you're going to get extra value out of the Yeti Bomb than you would basically any other CC. So the Yeti Bomb's going to come in on the Town Hall. That's going to help not only destroy these scatter shots, but keep them distracted while the dragons are moving through as well. And then from there, once the Town Hall's down, bats can come in this way. Let me get that off the screen there as well. And I have an Ice Golem that can go to this Archer Tower, because if I open that up, if it goes to that Archer Tower, it can tank that Wizard Tower, and I don't have to use a freeze spell there. Anytime you can tank a Wizard Tower like that from the outside, it's perfect, and it doesn't always have to be an Ice Golem. It can be a Giant, or something else that I've used that's quite effective is the Super Giant, just because it has a lot of HP and it can tank for a while. You're just losing the freeze that the Ice Golem has, but you're also saving on housing space. So some other things to consider. Things to not use are any air troops. Don't use balloons to tank a Wizard Tower. It's not a good idea. Obviously, not only does the Wizard Tower do splash. Oops, I just moved the screen. I didn't really mean to. That's fine. Not only does the Wizard Tower do splash, but the red air bombs that the balloons can pull can take out the bats. But the bats will move through. I've got that accounted for. The RC's got all this accounted for. I can freeze this Wizard Tower here in the core, and that should be it for this base. So let's go ahead and watch this replay, and then I think I have one more to share after this one. Alright, so here we go. RC is going to be working her way in. There we go. And this was less than 2 minutes to get the triple as well. And that's with letting the RC take a minute to do her thing. I did put the Unicorn on the RC And we'll talk about pets after this attack as well before we jump into the next one. So there's that first invisibility. Have to pop the RC shield like I mentioned to make sure she paths to the eagle. And then I noticed the unicorn's taking a lot of damage here. So I tried to make the eagle invisible so that the RC would go for the Inferno Tower, which she did, but it didn't save the unicorn. Unicorn dies anyway. But the RC takes out the Inferno, takes out the eagle, takes out the Wizard Tower. A couple of balloons in, baby dragon to set the funnel, and then we can get the king and queen going. So here we go with the balloons. Dragon's coming in behind. I needed to make this funnel a little bit better. Unfortunately, I did have a couple of dragons need to detour over there, take out some trash buildings before they join up with the rest. But I got the king and queen moving down the way they're supposed to. Dragons are moving in pretty much where they're supposed to. The queen is helping to take out some of these key defenses down here. Single's going to go down fairly quickly. And then here comes that Yeti Bomb blimp coming from the top side. So we got a bunch of dragons kind of splitting up in the core. Warden ability catches most of the dragons. The blimp's going to drop. I do use a rage spell there as well. And the Town Hall goes down. I'll be able to start the bats over there. So there we go. Town Hall did drop. And I actually switched it up and put the bats from the other side. Let's pause it real quick. I actually forgot I made that decision mid-attack. But the reason for that is I've got dragons over here that are much closer to the corner. And these dragons are still a bit further back. So I wanted to drop those bats in as far away from the dragons as possible. And I was still able to basically do the same thing. And then you can see I dropped the Ice Golem in right here. But he went for one of the Teslas instead of the Archer Tower. Obviously, I wasn't aware that the Teslas were there. But I should have dropped the Ice Golem down lower just in case of that. Because, I mean, it's kind of obvious that somewhere in here we're going to be Teslas. So the Ice Golem was useless. I had to end up using freeze spells on that Wizard Tower. So there was the first one. I'm going to have a second one coming in shortly, I believe. So there it is. The Ice Golem freezes up, doesn't really freeze anything. And then I got a scatter up here that's being tanked by the dragon. Go ahead and freeze it anyway because I've got the freeze spells and I don't really need them. Still have the queen's ability. Enemy queen's going to go down. The bats are working through the last of the defenses here. And this base was crushed. Easy triple. And, I mean, a couple of small mistakes in this one, but overall this was one of my better executed DragBat attacks this week. Okay, so this is the last base we're going to take a look at in this video. Basically just a lot of the same stuff I've already talked about. But we're going to look at the dragon pathing in this one especially. And kind of how I set this one up for the 3-star. So let's go ahead and look at what the plan's supposed to be. So I got Sneaky Goblins taking out these collectors down here. King and Queen are going to be coming in like that. And basically I want them to take out these defenses here. Defenses and other trash buildings. And then the RC is actually going to come in and I want her to take out all of this. So this was something I noticed pretty much right off the bat when I looked at this base. Is this whole section is only defenses except for one little builder hut. So the RC, she can come in, she can work through these. I can use an invisibility spell because she will be in range of that single Inferno. And she can take out the scatter shot. And that sets up really nice pathing for the dragons here. Of course, the heroes are going to get something more like this. But anyway, you can kind of already see the lane that I'm using for the dragons. So the dragons are going to come in like that. Excuse my arrows. Those aren't really the prettiest, but you kind of get the point here. So the dragons are going to move in. They'll take out the single, take out the multi. And then, of course, the blimp, as usual, comes in behind the dragons. It'll take out the town hall area. So the plan for the bats was to actually send them in from 3 o'clock. I was hoping my heroes would also get these buildings here, but they actually don't. So what I ended up doing was sending the bats like from here, which was a very bad choice. I didn't execute the bats very well in this attack at all. So what happens when I drop the bats like this, these defenses are still up, so I got bats going this way, I've got bats going this way, and then I get bats going this way. You want to drop your bats so that they actually all go in the same direction. What I should have done is drop the bats from down here. It would have been much easier to predict which way the bats are going to go. So they would have went through like this. A couple of them would have split off. They would have all come together for this little area here. Easy freeze, and then dragons would have taken care of this by then, as well as this. But the way I did it, I kind of messed it up. The bats did not go well, but the dragons were executed well enough that they kind of made up for it. So let's go ahead, watch this replay, and then we'll wrap up this video. Alright, so here we go. King and Queen start first just because they have a little more to chunk out of here. And then there are the sneakies to get that funnel set so everything works its way into the base. We got the Lassie with the King, Yak with the Queen. That was something else I wanted to mention earlier. Let's actually slow this back down to 1x. They're going to take care of some expos, take out the Eagle there. RC is working her way in as well. Keep an eye on her down there at the bottom. Another mistake I made here is when I hit the RC's ability, I actually hit it right before the scatter shot goes down, and that was a mistake as well. So right there I hit it. The scatter only needed one more hit. If I had waited until the scatter was down, the RC shield would have went up to the single Inferno, I'm pretty sure. Not 100%, but I'm pretty sure that's where the shield would have went. But anyway, you can see the Expo live, and then this Wizard Tower. So the defenses were kind of spread out there, and I shouldn't have started the bats there like I had planned originally. But I just stuck with the plan and went with it, and you'll see how that works out here shortly. But double rage in through the core to the Town Hall, get it taken down, and then we get the multi taken down with all these dragons up here on the top side. So there we go, and the bats will be coming in shortly. Another thing I was thinking at the time, I actually would have started the bats down here at 6. They would have had straight path right up through the base. But here we go. The bats are splitting up. They actually didn't split up quite as badly as I thought they did. But you can still kind of see what the problem is. You got 3 different splash defenses targeting the bats pretty much at the same time. Luckily, these dragons up here were tanking one of those, but we got the scatter shot, got these 2 wizard towers. It was just a rough time for the bats altogether. I did have an ice golem as well to go in for that wizard tower. That worked out pretty well. Unfortunately, there were no bats to tank for. But I still got plenty of dragons still alive. Still have a bunch of minions, and that is a clean sweep for the dragons, basically, and another triple on the board. So, before we wrap up this video, the last thing I'll mention are the pets, and really it just depends on what you're using the heroes for. Often, if I'm looking to get a lot done with the king, I'll give him the unicorn. Sometimes the queen will get the unicorn. And then, obviously, sometimes the RC will get the unicorn. So in this case, I wanted to make sure the RC could get all the way across this bottom side of the base. So she got the unicorn. I gave the Yak to the queen for some tanking, and then the Lassie to the king for some extra damage. There's still a lot of basically testing with the pets to see what's going to work out ideally. But that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. The owl always goes with the warden because the wardens on air dragons are there. The owl stays up forever and helps add some damage to your DragBat. But yeah, I think that's actually a wrap for this video. If you guys have any questions at all about DragBat at Town Hall 14 or other Town Hall levels, please feel free to ask down in the comments below. And if you want to see more guides like this one for other attacks, let me know as well what you guys would like to see, and I will be sure to make that happen. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you liked it, be sure to hit that thumbs up, and if you want to see more Clash content from me, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Thank you guys for stopping by. I'll see you all next time.